Hi, I hope you enjoyed last week's lesson on obligation and necessity, because we're going to be carrying on with that this week, and I'm going to be telling you a bit more detail about this area. So I hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe, okay?
We've looked at the basic structures to show obligation, recommendation and lack of obligation. And what were they? Can you remember? They were must and mustn't, okay, the modal verb, and have to, and then had to, the past, and don't have to show no obligation, okay, so no necessity. So let's have a look at some other structures that we can use in a similar way. So let's have a look. If we wanted to show permission, let's have a look at this sentence. We the office early on Fridays. And we're going to use semi-modal, allow and leave. Okay, so how could we make a sentence with these two words? Well, we could say we are allowed to leave the office early on Fridays. Yeah, maybe the boss is very kind and he lets us go early. So we are allowed, we are permitted to go early. Then we could have prohibition with the same verb. So we're going to say we Facebook on the office computers, and we're going to use allow and use, and this is prohibition. Okay, so it's going to be the negative. So we are not allowed to use Facebook on the office computers. All right, so we're only allowed to use Facebook when we're outside the office. Then we've got strong recommendation, right? We want to recommend something really strongly. So you a taxi, otherwise you'll be late for your interview. We're going to use this structure had better with some kind of verb. So what do you think that's going to be? Well, it's going to be you had better get a taxi, otherwise you'll be late for your interview because maybe there's a lot of traffic, you need to go quickly, all right, you had better get a taxi. Now here be careful because we use what's called the bare infinitive, which means there's no to, all right, so you had better get. Then we've got strong recommendation, okay, about something that's negative. So for example, you out because it's incredibly windy, okay, so here we want to say you had better not go out because it's incredibly windy. So we want to really tell that person, no, please don't go out. Maybe you're going to be injured if you go out. So you had better not go out. And if you go out, you could be injured. When we're talking about a rule that we're expected to follow, there's another structure we can use. Okay, we can say we until 8 p.m. on Fridays, but we often sneak off early, so we kind of escape early from the office. So we are supposed to work until 8 p.m. on Friday, but we often sneak off early. So it's the rule, but maybe we don't follow that rule. So we are supposed, and then the infinitive with to. And then we can also use it in the negative, okay, a rule we're expected to follow in a negative way. So we personal calls on the work mobile, and here we're going to use not supposed and a verb. So we are not supposed to make personal calls on the work mobile. Yeah, the work mobile is only for work-related affairs. And then necessity. You in the online application form, okay, I'm going to use the verb need, okay, and fill in. So you need to fill in the online application form. It is necessary for you to fill in the online application form. So we use you need, okay, and then infinitive with to. If it's a lack of necessity, okay, that's a little bit different, a lack of necessity. Here, you anything for dinner tonight because we can go and get a takeaway. And we're going to use need again, need. So you don't need to cook anything for dinner tonight because we can get a takeaway. Now, here you notice it's a semi-modal verb, so we've got an auxiliary verb, it's present tense, so we use don't. You don't need to cook anything for dinner because we're going to get a takeaway. You can also say you needn't cook anything for dinner tonight because we can get a takeaway. So you can use you don't need to or you needn't. Now here it's a little bit more of a modal verb because we don't use an auxiliary verb. You go directly to needn't and then the infinitive without to. Okay, so this is a modal verb, all right? The other one was more like a semi-modal verb, and this is a real modal verb because we don't use an auxiliary verb. Then we've got make and let. Okay, so let's have a look at these. My mum, my room every week when I was a kid. All right, we're going to use the verb clean, and we've got to use either make or let. So here, it was in the past. Okay, so we need the verb in the past. And here it's like an obligation. So my mum made me clean my room every week when I was a kid. She was very strict and she forced me to clean my room. Now be careful here because we don't use to, okay? We just say made me and then the bare infinitive. Just be careful because there is a little thing to remember between active and passive sentences which use make or made or the present or the past. The teacher made me stand in the corner of the room for being rude. Okay, so I was a bad pupil and she gave me a punishment. Okay, she made me stand. She forced me to stand in the corner of the room. Now, when I make this into the passive, I have to be very careful. So, I in the corner of the room for being rude. I was made to stand in the corner of the room for being rude. When it's in the passive, yeah, we put I was made, all right, if it's in the past, for example, and then the infinitive, but with to. So in the passive it has to, but in the active it doesn't have to. Finally, permission, all right, permission. My mum out late at the weekend, and we're going to use let. My mum lets me go out late at the weekend. So she permits me to go out late. She allows me to go out late. Now here again, remember, we don't put to, we just put my mum lets me and then the bare infinitive. Now you've got some transformations, all right, so you've got a good variety there that should help you to practice all of those structures. So good luck.